understand? But how the Lord is going to come? You see the movie Independence Day? When you see the chariots coming and cut through the cloud and all of them, basically that's how the Lord is coming back. You understand? He's coming back, and when you see all the chariots in the sky, you're going to call upon that name and you're going to be delivered. You might be saved if you're part of the elect. I'm not guaranteeing you salvation, because if you stop sinning, because the Lord says if you go, I'm supposed to go out there and warn the sinner. And if the sinner turns not away from what after I've told him, then I've delivered my soul, but I don't warn you, understand? But if you turn from your way, then you're going to be saved, understand? That's what the Lord says.
What is your Facebook?
Yeah, my Facebook. If you add me on Facebook, you'll keep me up to date. You'll be up to date with all my videos.
This is you.
Yeah.
Shami One.
Yeah, Shami One Israel. That's my tribe. Tribe in Hebrew, Shami One.
Oh, cool. I will add you on.
Add me.
Anything you start to update.
You're gonna see all the videos, everything that's going around the world, and the new studies from this. What's going on here is worldwide. This is in England. This is in Jamaica. This is in Trinidad. This is all over America. This is in Amsterdam now. This is the truth that's come from this. This is the real reality what's going on. That we have been deceived by the Illuminati, by the Rothschild, the bank, and the Bilderberg. We have been deceived by the so-called white man. According to the Bible, the so-called white man is the devil. He's a deceiver. That's why I say in Job 9:24, the earth is given into the hands of the wicked. He covered the faces of the judges thereof. They stole our identity. They call themselves Jewish. They stole our land in Israel. You understand? Now they're fighting over there for the land. None of them belong to that land. You understand? The real people that belong to the land are the
change the history.
You understand? They're teaching you they are Afro-American, or they are from Suriname, or you're from Africa.
But look, come to see Israel, you see why she like, oh,
yeah, no.
How come? Well, look, you see this.
Yeah. And that's why it says right down here, and you shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. You understand? From there, and you shall know, in John 8:22, and you shall know the truth, and it shall make you free. And there's no such thing as hell. Okay? Hell, this is a condition played out on the earth. The white man teaches hell, but there's what happens is that when you die, you go to the Lord judge you, and then you come back again in the third generation. So there's no remembrance. Like, you will have a child, then your child will have a child, then your child have a child, then you come back again.
In the same bloodline.
To the same tribe, the same family.
So I stay in the family.
Yeah, you're gonna come back to one of your family members. You understand? You're gonna come back to the other tribe. You understand? So basically, that's what the Lord says in Isaiah 14 and 21. It says, prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquities of their fathers. That's what the Lord said. Prepare slaughter for his children, for the iniquities. Why? Because
the father was sin, and the child will suffer for that.
Why? Because the father back then, this child right now that you see walking around, those are those same people that enslaved us back then in the reincarnation. You understand? Back then it was a shock of the chains. Right now the white man is in power. This is the blessing that you get. This is the blessing where he said we're doing the time of Isaac and Rebecca. You know the story of Jacob and Esau? Yeah. Jacob is the so-called white man. He get blessed with the sword. Yeah. That's why I say in Job 9:24, the earth is given unto the hands of the wicked. You cover the faces of the judges thereof. Right? Understand? I was thinking debating with you the whole day.
Sister will tell you, I don't see your face push up. Hey, thanks for the.
Alright, man. Alright, take care. Alright, cool. So we're gonna continue, right? Don't worry about that now, that's not the truth. This is the truth here. Now, what's going to happen is, right? So basically what's going to happen after this war is ended, we're going to round up all the white people and we're going to shackle them and enslave them. Right? Because that's the reward of the wicked. You understand? For what they did to the children of Israel. Right? That's the way it is. Now, we're going to continue where we left up, and that's going to be right, Isaiah 2 and 19.
This is what part?
Isaiah 2 and 19. Isaiah 2 and 19. What's it? And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth for the fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty when he is risen, when he arises to shake the terrible Salakia. I'll read that again. And they shall go into the holes of the rocks and into the caves of the earth. That's talking about the so-called white man. They're going to go try to hide themselves in the holes of the rocks and in the caves of the earth. Right? For the fear of the Lord and for the glory of his majesty, when he arises to shake the terrible, the earth, right? When he arises to shake the terrible, Salaka, when he arises to shake terribly the earth, right? Because all of the earth is going to be shaken terribly. Is when the nuclear bombs hit, the earth is going to be shaken terribly, right? And everybody's going to be hiding themselves when they see the nuclear bomb hitting, right? When the nuclear bomb's hitting is when they're going to be running and hiding themselves, right? Right. Right, so we'll continue, right? So myself a little bit. I tell you now, hey, when we get in power now, you know how much women we're gonna have now? You didn't see how them so-called Africans and them so-called Muslims in Africa, how they kidnap all these girls them? And then the white man in England, the Edomite in England saying, you can't be taking spoils of war like that. You can't be taking the women as spoils of war. Hey, if you're at war with another nation, right? And you conquer that nation, you basically take all the women because that's spoils of war. You understand? The gold, you understand? That's what you do. And what you do, you cut down all the trees except the fruit trees. You leave the fruit trees and all the other trees you cut down. You understand? And I think you're supposed to put a wall. You're supposed to actually besiege the city, you know? That's the way it is, though. So we can't wait for the Most High to give us spiritual power so we can have all these women, you know? Spoils of war. Oh yeah, that's a good one. Spoils of war. Yeah, it's gonna be like that. We're gonna have all type of women. Right?
Sí, no puede estar bonito, pero yo no lo voy a andar.
I can't waste my time teaching women here. Women them about down. So now what we're gonna do? We're gonna continue, right? Right, because back then, during the time when we go to war with these heathens, you know, when they flee from us, some of them like to hide themselves in the caves or the rocks. You understand? And that's what happened one time during the time, I think it was with Joshua. Yeah, during the time of Joshua, when there was 5 kings that there was Canaanites that were fighting against Israel. But we're going to go into it. Right? Joshua. Joshua 10 and 12 till 27. And it says, right? Right? 12. Okay, it says. this is Joshua, right? When he was, and not to show you this spiritual power as well in this, because Joshua made the sun to stay still for a whole day without going down, right? And it says, right, then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day, so like then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel, which are the Amorites or the Canaanites. And he said in the sight of Israel, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and the moon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon, right? In the valley of Ajalon, right? So basically Joshua actually tells the sun and the moon to stand still for that day. Just for them filthy ass Africans, we have the power to actually stop the moon and the sun, right? From its place. Right? And it says, then spake Joshua to the Lord in the day when the Lord delivered up the Amorites before the children of Israel. And he said in the sight of Israel, sun, and thou moon, sun, stand thou still upon Gibeon, and thou moon in the valley of Ajalon. You see, so the sun and the moon stand still for us during the time. Right? And it says, so we're fighting these stinky ass Africans. Right? And it says, right? There we go. And it says, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people have avenged themselves upon their enemies. So basically, you see them thinking that Africans are our enemies? Them filthy ass Africans, you so-called white people, Africa, all of y'all are our enemies. Right? Where you from? Where you from? What? Oh, Turkey. Oh, you're an Edomite. Okay. Anyways. Well, these are God's chosen people. Huh? These are the real Israelites, the real Jews. The people in Israel, they're not the real Jews. They're imposters. I'm an Israelite. The whole family is Israel. When you say Jew, you say one tribe, Jew. There's 12 of them. Benjamin, Levi. There's not just Jews, one tribe. I'm from the tribe of Simeon. Jacob had 12 children. Judah, Benjamin, Levi. Those are God's chosen people. The people in the land of Israel, they're not the real Jews. Because it's a Jewish, they wish to be Jews. They stole my identity.
They're different.
Yeah, they're Khazars, they're Edomites. They're the other descendants. The Tukaya, they're white people as well, the Tukaya. You understand? Yeah, all right. They're actually your descendants. What ahead? Now, we're going to continue. Right? And it says 13, and it says, and the sun stood still, and the moon stayed until the people had avenged themselves upon their enemies. Is not this written in the book of Joshua? So the sun stood still in the midst of heaven, and hasted not to go down about a whole day. You see, so the sun stood still in the midst of heaven and hasted not to go down for a whole day. So the sun did not went down for a whole day. Imagine that. The moon and the sun. To show you the power we have back then. We had some serious spiritual power back then. Right? And we're going to get that power again, brothers. Don't worry. You know that we're in slavery right now, the last captivity. After this, we're out of this. Right? And there was no more day. And there was no day like that before.